I'm in Eastcote Studios today, which is one of my favourite studios to record in. I discovered it, I think it's 7 years ago, maybe 5, but not very long ago. And I'm just sitting here now thinking how peaceful and the wonderful tranquility of this room. Although there's normally a lot of noise in here because of the music being played, but you have to start with that solace, that atmosphere to start off with before you can start creating great music. 1979 was the year that Philip Bagnall built the studio. So this was the drum booth. It's a little bit different now. The ceiling was a bit lower, but it's still a very funky sound, great warm sound. Piano gets moved about quite a bit. If you've got like 2 guitar players out here, you can walk from the recording area into the control room. And this is the control room. I mean, look at all the detail on the back of the console. You can see what I mean. You know, that's from the 80s, that console. Throughout my career, I've been very fortunate enough to work in a lot of amazing recording studios. And I like to think of them as temples of sound, because the best studios where the best music comes out of are places where people have congregated and have written and recorded some amazing songs and made beautiful music. So it's really lovely to be in this room today.
One day, boy, don't see baby.
So, pretty wild intro for a rock and roll band at the time. I discovered it because I was looking for a studio with a certain sound. It's an album that I produced with a friend of mine called Noah Francis. It was one of my favourite albums to make. In recording the rhythm section sound, I wanted a really funky, warm, almost like New York sound to it. I was looking at photos of studios on the internet and came across Eastcote. I'd never been here before, and looked at the drum booth and just went, yep, that's the place. It was fantastic. And after that, I just kept coming back to Eastcote again and again. I think I must have made about 5 or 6 albums, 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah, 5, 6 albums here. And they've always been a joy to work on in this room. Today we've been at Eastcote Studios and I've been talking about the most recent project I'm working on, which is the mixing of an album that I recorded 50 years ago. Didn't seem possible. I recorded it at Olympic Studios in Studio 2, and it's an album called A Space in Time by 10 Years After. When I said I was always searching for a new sound, in finding the Leslie, I put the vocal through the Leslie. The Leslie is the part of the organ, the tone cabinet that spins round, and it gives you like what they call a Doppler effect. So you see all the tracks bumping along here. In using the Leslie, I created this effect on the vocal. And I can solo this for you. So I'll leave it up to you. It's a very ghosty sound, very wistful sound. It's quite a challenge to go back and recreate a masterpiece that you made 50 years ago and bring something new to it. This image here, that's me mixing the 10 Years After album 50 years ago in Studio 2 at Olympic. Also, we've been looking at some of the music that's coming out on the new digital label that I started called Undercover Music .com. I'd been helping a musician in South Carolina in the States who would send me his songs for critiquing and helping him with bits and pieces on the writing. And this had been going on for quite some time. His name's Everett Watson. And It got to the point where I really felt that I could get involved a lot more in helping with the writing and in the production. And on one of the songs on the first album, which is called Politico, I thought I'd love to get Peter Frampton to play on this, who I've done a lot of work with. And Everett is a huge, huge fan of Peter's. I mean, he's been to so many concerts of Peter's. He plays a Les Paul, same as Peter. And I was not afraid to send this track to Peter to ask him if he would like to play on it. And I know Peter well, so if he didn't like the music, he would say no, piss off, which is fair enough. But I had a feeling he would enjoy this. And what he sent me back was truly amazing. And here's Peter. That was quite something for Everett to have Peter Frampton, his idol, playing on his first album. So this will be the first release on Undercover, and then, as I said, we've got 2 more albums which are going to release later in the year. And then I found some songs that I'd written with Gary Granger, Rod Stewart's guitar player, Robert Hart, singer with the Jones Gang, and Manfred Mann, and myself, that I'd written maybe like 15 years ago that I'd never done anything with. So I'm going to put them on Undercover Music as well. I'm also putting the one person who started the idea, actually, my wife, Christy. When we met in the late 70s, I actually recorded an album, actually not an album, maybe about 6 tracks with her, and it happened in the most wonderful way. Those songs were always something from the heart, something that I really felt special about, that I wanted to say. I have these wonderful recordings of my dear wife Christy and her songs, and this awesome backing band. And some people that have heard them think it's the Stones playing behind her, because she did go on to sing with Keith Richards on a duet some years later. What would I tell myself 50 years ago? I would say congratulations, well done. You never changed course, you just fell in love with sound, and you wanted to record sound and music and make music. So it was never any ulterior motive for becoming famous, making a load of money or anything like that. But a good sound system, that was good. Towards the latter part of my career, I find myself back at Olympic and building a studio at Olympic. So what else could I ask for? I'm just going back to where I started. Probably scatter my ashes in Studio One.